Welcome to the Central Alabama High School Sports Show podcast, brought to you by Andrew Sports Medicine, Landon Frost, Hamburger Heaven, Huffman Electric, and State Farm.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to tonight's show. I'm Snapper Lancaster, the host of the podcast that we have for the Central Alabama High School Sports Show, and I also remind you folks you can still see it on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So there are multiple ways of hearing our show or seeing it. But tonight we've got an outstanding guest, one of the gentlemen that's been in the high school coaching business for many years, track coach at one of the outstanding schools here. We'll be visiting with him and some of his athletes. But in this first segment, you know, what we talked about leading up to it is finally playoff time for high school football. You've got the track teams that are in their meets. You've got the volleyball teams that are into theirs. And so all of the playoffs are starting now. Well, this week on Friday nights, bring the first round of the playoffs for the high school football teams. And we've got a lot of teams here in the area that have qualified, and we're going to talk a little bit longer in this opening segment to let you know for two reasons. One, which teams have qualified, and two, if your team wasn't one that made it, you might want to go to one of these high school games of some of those teams that did play and did make the playoffs. So here we go, and we're going to start off by talking about the schools that are in the smallest classification that Birmingham area has, Jefferson County has, and that's 3A. And in 3A, we've got two teams that have qualified, Rod Isaac's Midfield Patriots, who will be at home against Pisgah, and Fultondale, Don Dover, the coach there, they will be hosting Plainview in the first round of the 3A playoffs. So this what takes place here at home for both Midfield and Fultondale. Then you jump to 5A, where we've got Mortimer Jordan, Dusty Good, and his team, excellent season, 9-1. They will be hosting Dora, and then Briarwood, Coach Fred Yancey, and the Briarwood football team with an 8-2 season will be hosting Valley in the first round. Then you go into 6A, and this is where the most number of teams that we have from the Birmingham area are located. Starting with one of the first games we'll talk about is Jemison of Huntsville. They're going to Clay. Drew Gilmer has his Clay Cougars. They've 9-1. They're playing at home. I really like Clay's chances of moving on. They got an outstanding team. Also, Tom Causey with Pelham. They will be going to Hartselle. They ended up with a 7-3 record. They traveled to Hartselle, who ended up with a perfect season's record, so they got a lot of work cut out for them. Does that mean that they don't have a chance to win? Absolutely not. As we talk to these coaches about all the time, they just want their teams peaking here at the playoff time, and if they do, once they get into the playoffs, anything can happen. Then another 6A team, Decatur, will come to Birmingham to face Jackson Olin. Chris Vakakis and his team went 10-0 this year, and if I'm not mistaken, that's only the second team in Jackson Olin history to go undefeated. The other one was way back over 25 years ago. And then Albertville will go to play Pinson Valley. Pat Nix and his team, 8-1, outstanding season, and they will have a good chance of moving on. Then Adrian Abrams, a minor, him and his Purple Tigers will travel to Muscle Shoals, and Muscle Shoals had an outstanding season. Minor didn't have an outstanding season win-wise, but they played well enough to qualify for the playoffs. And as we've talked about a lot, all you got to do is qualify, and anything can happen. And then finally, in 6A, another school, Chad Eads, first-year coach at Gardendale after 10 years of assistance at Hoover, got his Gardendale Rockets into the playoffs with a 5-5 record. They traveled to Fort Payne, which ended up 6-4. So tough road trip ahead, but not one that they could not win. So good luck to the Rockets. And then Athens travels to Homewood. Ben Bergeson, his Patriots, 8-2 this season, very good season. They're playing at home. The atmosphere should be great for them. But both teams come into that ball game with an 8-2 record. The only advantage you can give Homewood it's a home game, and that means a ton too. And then Eufaula will come to Hueytown. Scott Manziel and his team had an outstanding season, 8-2. They should move to the second round. And then Bessemer City, with Deron Fagan, first-year head coach there, travels to Park Crossing, where they'll play in the first round. And then we get to Class 7A. The big boys in the city, as the old saying goes, and we've got some outstanding teams, and there'll be 4 of them playing in the first round. And the first game we'll talk about is the Mountain Brook Spartans. Coach Chris Yeager and the Spartans travel to Austin, where they'll play the Black Bears and have a real good chance of winning that ball game, because Mountain Brook has had a good season. They can carry that momentum on into the playoffs. Then Bob Jones visits Hoover. And Josh Niblett, what an outstanding career he's had, and what an outstanding record at Hoover. Matter of fact, just a couple of weeks ago, he notched win number 200 in his illustrious career, and there are many wins ahead for him. But Hoover takes on Bob Jones, a game they should win at home, although Bob Jones can be tough. And then Thompson hosts Florence, and of course Mark Freeman and another Tagovailoa quarterback down there at Thompson had an 8-1 season, going into the playoffs with a lot of momentum, and they should do some damage and will be a serious threat to possibly win the state championship. And finally, the last team from the Birmingham area is Hewitt-Trussville. The Huskies will have to travel to James Clements. Played some outstanding football here in Birmingham. Had a great season. One of their biggest wins was a big 56-28 win over Hoover toward the first of the season. But the team, if they have a little bit of a problem area, it could be defense, because they've been susceptible to giving up a lot of points, and that's happened in the last couple of games. But not at all surprised if Hewitt-Trussville travels to James Clements and comes away with a win and move on into the second round. So that sort of lets you know what's going to be happening with all these teams here in the Birmingham area. And like I said before, maybe your team didn't qualify, but you want to go see some good playoff games. There are a lot of them here, and I guarantee you, before it's over with, there's a very good chance this year that one of the Birmingham teams in not only 7A but 6A could possibly win a state title. And like I said, with Mortimer Jordan, they've had a 9-1 season. In 5A, they could make a lot of noise. So a lot of teams with the championships have maybe the possibility of bringing home a state crown. So that's, as the old saying goes, that's why they play the game. That's why the coaches hope their teams are peaking at the right season, right time of the season. And of course, the playoffs are that right time. But so if your team didn't make it, one of these other games appeals to you, be sure to get out there and support these teams, support these young athletes, because this is what they've worked all season for them. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be looking forward to spending a few moments with a very outstanding coach, track coach that is, from here in the Birmingham area. We'll be right back. Don't you go away.
The community features a world-class resort and spa, the amazing Robert Trent Jones Trail Golf Course, miles of historic trails, and the whole family loves the pool at Ross Park. No, are we gonna have to watch your vacation slides all night?
This was supposed to be a party.
Well, this isn't my vacation. I live here.
Ooh.
You know that you're blessed. Give your taste a whole new spin. Bring your friends and come on in. Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven.
Land of Frost Premium is America's best-selling 1-pound deli pouch, now available in 12 delicious flavors, including new flavors of mesquite turkey and cotto salami. High school athletes across the country ask for Land of Frost by name. These great items are available at your local grocer, including Piggly Wiggly, Food Giant, Western supermarkets, and many more. Land of Frost also makes other varieties of lunch meats, including deli shaved bistro and sub sandwich kits. Land of Frost is a proud sponsor of youth sports as well.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine, orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine with shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered at Andrew Sports Medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, post-operative decisions, pre-operative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making. That gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them, we're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing and as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
And folks, welcome back. And as you can tell, I have a guest with me here. It's a gentleman that's been in the high school coaching business for many years now, been very, very successful at it. And no, we're not talking about football tonight. We're going to be talking about track, and specifically, we're going to be talking about cross-country coach, because that's where we're at. And of course, we're talking about Coach Devin Hind of the Hoover Bucks. And Coach, before we get to talking about this year's team and what's going on with you and your players, tell people that may be seeing you for the first time about your background and how you've ended up there at Hoover.
Well, I started at Berry High School in 1978 and taught and coached for 3 years, and then I was out 16 years. I had a lawn service company. You probably don't even know that.
Yeah.
And then I got back into coaching and coached at Simmons Middle School for 10, and this is my 16th year at Hoover High School.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, Coach, one of the first things that I want to ask you, because you and I have both been around a long time. I've seen a lot of sports, and you have too. Talk about the difference in today's athletes and some of those 20 or 25 years ago.
Well, there's not really a whole lot of difference, I don't think. They're as far as cross country, they always have been good kids because they're very self-disciplined and they work hard, and I really don't see a whole lot of difference.
Well, and when I ask coaches, some will say this, some will say that. The thing I think that sticks out in my mind the most is relationships you have with them aren't quite the same as they used to be, because we've got so many electronic gadgets they're fooling with, and that they're always using those things where used to we didn't have that. So we had sometimes, for me, what I would think were closer relationships, but I also understand in a coaching profession and with your athletes, that's definitely a completely different type situation.
Well, the electronics may have actually make us a little bit closer because they text all the time, whereas they used to not do that. And when I'm coaching, they never have electronics. So, I mean...
So there's what's that old saying? There's advantages and disadvantages to everything?
Yeah. So I don't,
When
As far as coaching, I don't see any problem with electronics as far as the relationship.
Oh, okay. Well, one of the things that I always understand too about the track, and I'm not as into that as I am football, and I apologize for that. I know what I need to know, I guess, but because I've had grandchildren that have run track, and a granddaughter now that's still running track out there at Hewitt, I understand some of it, and I've understood the cross country a whole lot because I've gone and watched a lot of it. Now, I know this is one of the few sports, Coach, that where you coach year round. You have cross country, then you have indoor, and you have outdoor. How is that different for you? Because most coaches have a seasonal job. You have a yearly job, it seems like.
Well, I don't know anything different, so I don't know what it's like to have a season off. I get next Monday off. That's the day after state meet and the day before we start indoor practice. And so once school starts, I'm wide open till the middle of May.
Yeah. Well, another thing I wonder about too is you've got 3 distinct seasons: the cross country, the indoor, which is the shortest season, by the way. And I guess that's only because there aren't enough indoor facilities, I guess, to have a whole lot of them, are there?
There's only one indoor facility, and that's
Right.
at the Crossplex, but it's almost 3 months long.
Yeah, but do you get how many meets? How many
So it's not that short of a season.
No, it's not. But how many meets do you get? As many?
We do 5 meets plus a state meet.
Right.
But I run all the meets at the Crossplex, so I'm there for I think 17 meet days this year.
When having said that, that's just for indoor, right?
Yeah,
Now, how many meets do you have for outdoor and for cross country?
they're allowed to do 10 meets outdoor plus the sectionals in state. And cross country's the same. They're allowed to do 10 plus sectionals in state, but we don't do 10. I think we do 8.
But you do get a little more in this fall and the spring than you do in the winter.
Yeah,
don't you?
more racing opportunities.
Right.
Yes.
Well, now, having said that, and the one thing, and I don't know a ton about track and how it's scored and all that, but I do understand this part, that you have both male and female athletes, and somehow you have to qualify for the state meet. Explain that, how that works.
For cross country, this past Friday, we had sectionals. There were 4 sectional meets throughout the state, and the top 4 teams at each section qualify for the state meet. And then if you're not on those 4 teams, then they take the top 6 individuals that can qualify for the state meet as an individual. So there'll be 16 teams at the state plus 24 individuals.
Wow. All right. Well, now, having said that, what kind of season has your team had thus far? Was it one of those teams that the talent was there, that you were looking forward to what they might be able to accomplish? Or has this had one that maybe, just characterize it, did it have the athletes you weren't sure what they could do? Have some surprised you or not? Or how does that
Well, I guess I'd say the boys team has been a pretty inexperienced team that has grown throughout the season. They've worked real hard, and I think they've surprised a lot of people. Nobody thought we'd qualify for state. We're in the toughest region, just like every other sport. Mm-hmm. And we were picked 5th at sectionals, and we ended up getting 4th. Probably a top 5 team at state. I'd say 5 of the top 6 teams in the state are probably from our section, and 1 didn't get to go. And the girls team, we've got some experience, but I'd say our girls team is a bunch of track girls who are running cross country for the most part.
Right.
Their first love is track, and they do cross country to get in shape for track.
Well,
Most of them, not all of them.
And I guess that's the part that to me sort of separates the athletes a little bit. And what I mean by that is, like you say, you have some that are a whole lot better at the distances maybe than the obstacles, like you run into when you have cross country, right? Or prefer one of them?
Well, they just prefer the shorter distances, like an 800 rather than a 3.1 mile race.
When they're going into this season, and I think all coaches have to, and let me ask you if this applies to a track team as well. Do you hope that come playoff time or tournament time, that your team is peaking at the right time? Do you work, is that what you work toward, that they can be the best they can be when it comes to this time of the season.
That's the plan. It's always, I mean, that's the goal. So that's the coach's job, is to try and get them to peak at the right time. And Hoover's ready.
You know, I was going to say, now you've been doing this a long time, and you've had teams, I'm sure, where there was probably more talent than others, or when you started there was less, but by the time they get to it's time for you to qualify, they turned out to be some pretty good athletes.
Yeah, I think we'll surprise some people Saturday.
And so from that standpoint, overall, you say you think the girls have a chance to do better than the guys, and if that's the case, and maybe that's the case for each year for every team, is that sort of motivational that you want to don't let the guys outdo you, or don't let the girls outdo you?
I don't know if they probably compete against each other. I don't think about that. We're both we're shooting for top 5 in the state.
And like you were saying, I think that you feel like right now that your team is probably in a very good position to really do well in this state meet.
I think so. We'll find out Saturday.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, as always, it's good to see you. You've been a positive role model, a positive coach for your athletes and for your sport all through these years. And I'm like you. I hope that your team is peaking at the right time, because winning the state championship or doing very well, that's the goal of everybody.
That's right.
Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be visiting with some of his female athletes. Don't you go away. We'll be right back. You can catch our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can also visit us on our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Be sure to like and subscribe to our platforms. If you have an idea for a show topic or would like to be a sponsor, please email us at castvshow321@gmail.com.
The community features a world-class resort and spa, the amazing Robert Trent Jones Trail Golf Course, miles of historic trails, and the whole family loves the pool at Ross Park. Oh, are we gonna have to watch your vacation slides all night?
This was supposed to be a party.
Well, this isn't my vacation. I live here.
Ooh.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine, orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine with shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered at Andrew Sports Medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, post-operative decisions, pre-operative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making. That gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them. We're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
And this will be your premium right here.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say I combined home and auto with State Farm. Saved $760. Love this guy.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Bundle home and auto, and you could save $760. That's 760 very good reasons to call Alan Gurdeau in Trussville today.
And folks, welcome back. As you can tell, I've got three outstanding and awfully pretty young ladies sitting up here. They're outstanding athletes. And sitting closest to me, Erin Cannon, a senior, right? Yes. And then Haley Sallworth, senior. And finally, Emma Langley, a senior. Okay, girls, the first thing that I would want to know, because the track is a whole different animal in one aspect. Coach and I talked about it. Do each of you girls, and we'll start with you, Erin, do you compete all year round?
Yes, sir.
Well, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you had a favorite time of the season, is it cross country, is it winter, or is it spring?
It's definitely outdoor in the spring.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Is that why?
Well, outdoors it's a lot better. I like running outside instead of inside because inside you feel very confined. But outdoors, I think it's just the people there. You can see more people, talk to more people, and then racing is just a lot more fun outside.
Oh, okay, well that's good. I hadn't thought something along those lines. And Haley, how about you? Do you run?
Yes, sir, I do too.
And which one you enjoy the most?
I like cross country best.
Really?
I like the atmosphere and the team, and I'm more a distance girl, so I prefer cross country.
Okay, well let me ask you this: when you're racing, how do you pace yourself? Do you do it according to you want to be a certain place at a certain time, or you want to make sure you stay in a certain position? What are you thinking in your mind? Is now, and generally about how long is the regular race is somewhere in the 20-25 minute?
Around 20 minutes usually, yes, sir. I try to stay at a certain place in the race, or try to base off mile time splits. Make sure I'm at the right place, at the mile.
Now, when you're running the cross country, as compared to, let's say, in the winter or spring, do you have to be more cognizant of where you're at and what you're running over and through?
A little bit more in cross country because it's more hills and stuff in cross country rather than track. It's just flat, so you have to pay more attention to that. But as far as placement, I feel like it's similar.
What thoughts go through your mind as you're running, or do you try? Well, you got to be thinking about something.
Yes, sir. I try to just focus on the positive, or if I see someone in front of me slowing down, try to go catch them, or just try to focus on the mile I'm at and just finish the mile. And then once I do the next mile, just kind of start over again with just get through this mile.
So you're sort of pacing yourself for a strong finish, right?
Yes, sir. I try to.
Okay. And then Emma, you race all year round?
Yes, sir. I run all year round too.
Okay. Now, when you compete in track all year round, you don't have time to play anything else, right? So that's full, as the old saying goes, full plate.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you enjoy the fall, the winter, the spring?
I enjoy the spring the most, outdoor track like Erin.
Now, what events do you run in?
I usually run the 800 and the miles, sometimes the 400. It just depends if we need people running the 400.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you this. I know two things about you girls before we even get started. One is you're pretty smart in the classroom. You know why? Because if you don't qualify in the classroom, we don't make it to none of the track, right? And then secondly, I can tell from talking to y'all and what you do, y'all are all pretty good athletes. So that is, that takes a great combination. You've got to work on both of them, right? Now, having had all that work in the classroom, and then having all that work as you run those obstacle courses and practice for it, that keeps you pretty busy. But sometimes during that week, you've got to have some time to relax and just enjoy something to get away from the rigors of all that knowledge and all that physical exercise, right? So what I want to know, and we'll start with you first, Erin, what is it you do to just relax and unwind and get away from those two rigors?
Okay, so usually to relax and unwind, I either go out with my friends, we either go to the mall, or sometimes we just hang out at each other's houses. We love watching Netflix together. We always binge watch one show together. And That's probably my number one thing, just hanging out with my family and friends.
Okay. Now, and I'm going to ask you this too. And Haley, I'll ask you this question because I asked it about a lot of the other sports, and track should not be any different. Team chemistry. Chemistry is a funny thing. If you've got positive team chemistry, you can do great things. If you've got lousy team chemistry, it can keep you from being the best you can be. So Haley, with that thought in mind, what's the chemistry like? And I'm not going to talk about team chemistry per se. I'm going to talk about between you ladies. What kind of chemistry is this team made of?
I think this year is probably one of the best team chemistries we've had. Like yesterday, even we all got together and like had dinner together, and we just had fun. Like I love these girls, and I feel like this year we're all comfortable with each other, and we all run well together at practice every day. Like we're pushing each other and encouraging each other. I think this year we have really good team chemistry.
Well, I tell you what, the one reason, and all three of you girls being seniors, that makes y'all special. It makes you experienced, and it also makes you someone that your coach will think they're going to be the best they can be this year because this is the last year. And the only reason I say that, and sometimes y'all have to police each other. Now, I don't want this to come out the wrong way, and you can't hit me because we're on the air. But see, if there's such thing, you've heard this term cat fights. You know what we're talking about? That's young ladies that maybe, and it's fist fights for guys that can't get along and could cause problems on a team. So it sounds like, and Emma, I'll let you expand on this. It sounds like the chemistry is good, which helps make you better not only as individuals but as a team. And so, would you say that has been exactly what you expected out of this year's team, the way you get along?
Honestly, at first, we were working with a lot of new people who haven't been as experienced running varsity this year, so we haven't really been exposed to these people before. But as the season has gone on, our team has gotten so much closer, and I think as the season has gone on, we've kind of gotten a lot closer, and it was expected that we were going to work
good.
well.
And like I said, that's a positive thing because it makes it better not only for each individual, but you as a team. Now, being athletes, and y'all are, athletes are superstitious. We're a superstitious bunch. I know 50 years ago, I was an athlete, believe it or not. And we have superstitions, both boys and girls. Now, with that thought in mind, Erin, do you have anything that you have to do over and over, or that you do a certain way or dress a certain way, or any superstition you feel like you have to do in order to be the best you can be?
Honestly, I haven't dealt with any superstitions. I just kind of think either you have it or you don't that day. You're going to go in there, you're going to do the same things regardless of what's going on. But one girl on our team, she's very superstitious. She wears the same biblical quote on her wrist and on her arm. She wears the same socks, same shoes. I mean, everything has to be done to the T with the same bow and everything because she believes this is going to make her race better.
Yeah. But see, that's the key to all this, that we're all different. As much as we're alike, we're different. And so from that standpoint, Haley, do you have any superstitions?
Freshman year was a lot more superstitious. Like I always had to straighten my hair or wear a headband. But this year, I've definitely chilled out a lot. I think I have a pair of socks I have to wear every race, and that's about it.
Okay, now I know, being a young lady, you wash those all
Yes,
the time.
sir, definitely.
Okay, because we don't want them to call you stanky when you come around, Okay, Emma, how about you?
Every race I wear a bow, and so when we're on the starting line before every race, I have to pull on my bow just to make sure it's on, because if it falls off, I feel like I'm going to have a bad race. But other than that, I just try to stay relaxed and not worry too much about it.
Well, girls, do you feel like that y'all's team is peaking at the right time, for lack of a better way to put it? So I'm sure all of you are hoping for a very successful tournament, right? Well, listen, girls, the last question I got to this point in your young lives, and we'll start with Emma and work this way. Who's been the most inspirational person or persons in your life?
I honestly think one of the most inspirational people to me is my mom, because she's always taught me to work hard and not to give up on anything that I try to do. So I think my mom.
Good for you. Haley, how about you?
I feel like honestly my mom too. My mom and I are very close, and I feel like the way she raised me is very beneficial to how I am now, because she taught her and my dad too, like just to work hard, and like things don't come easy, so you have to work towards them. And I feel like they just train me to like work hard, and I'm very thankful for that.
Okay, Aaron.
I would also like to say my mother, but also my Aunt Sam. They've both instilled a lot of stuff into me to like make sure that I have the right mindset going into like such a new world today, especially like, you know, today everything's changing, and I think they've taught me how to navigate perfectly through this world and how to get through the toughest parts in life, and especially like being who I am today.
Well, one last quick question. I meant to ask this earlier. All of y'all being seniors, off to college next year, right? Where are we going?
You know, it's still kind of up in the air.
Okay. That's a good choice, up in the air.
So I've gone to a lot of college visits. As a matter of fact, I came back from one Monday. I went to Auburn Monday, but we're still kind of like playing my cards right, making sure that we have a right fit, but we're still looking.
Well, I tell you what, if you choose Auburn, I want you to know something. I pray for you. No, that's a wonderful school too, and that's an Alabama fan, so somebody will be praying for me, I hope. How about you?
I'm actually going to University of Alabama.
Really? What do you hope to take? What do you want?
I'm going to try to be a civil engineer.
Oh, okay. My goodness. You not only are very cute, you got to be very smart up here, and I know all you girls are. Emma, how about you?
I'm going to Mississippi College.
Okay. And what do you hope to do one day, maybe?
I'm hoping to go to medical school.
Okay. So none of y'all want to end up being a teacher and a track coach?
Well, actually, my whole family, I come from a line of educators. My whole families are teachers. And so because they're all teachers, I was like, I kind of want to break the mold and just kind of go somewhere else. I'm going into pre-med as well.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, good luck to you girls. After school, now, the best thing that I can say about your playoffs here, just do the best you can and get out there and run wild. And the coach will be tickled to death with another title. You can't ever get enough of them, but awfully nice to see you. Good luck in your tournament, but good luck after high school, okay? Folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, 3 young athletes from the male side that have done a lot of running and gunning too. We'll be right back.
Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven. A taste of heaven is always best. Now you know that you're blessed. Give your taste a whole new spin. Bring your friends and come on in. Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven.
The next time you need electrical work, whether it be commercial or residential, you need to call Huffman Electrical Contractors, a company that's been in business for over 35 years. They've served clients not only locally in the Birmingham area and all over the state, but have clients outside the state of Alabama as well. Whether it's a new building or remodeling an older building or home, they can handle the job for you. Once again, that's Huffman Electrical Contractors. The number to call is 205-661-5005. That's 205-661-5005. Where at Huffman Electrical Contractors, a satisfied customer is always their number one objective. And folks, welcome back. And as you can tell, yes, we have changed athletes and changed genders along with it. We got the guys up here, and I know that they're looking forward to the upcoming tournaments, but that's why I don't care what sport it is. That's what all these athletes play for, is a chance to win a title. Sitting close to me, Will Couch, senior. Will, do you participate year-round, or you just say one certain cross-country guy?
Well, for the past 2 years, I've just done cross-country and then indoor track, because I've done the musical in the spring, but I think this year I'm probably going to do outdoor again, like I did freshman year.
Oh, okay. And Lane Tincher. And Lane, what about you? Do you do year-round?
I'm year-round, yeah.
Okay. Now, when you play year-round, I mean, that's track year-round. You don't have time to do other sports, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Drew, how about you?
Yes, sir. I run year-round.
Okay. All right. What was it, and Drew, we'll start with you. What was it, at what age did you decide that the sport I want to participate in, or my favorite sport, is track?
Going into middle school, like I'd always done other sports like football, baseball, basketball, but then I just wasn't really any good at them, and so I just wanted to do something else, and so I started running cross country in middle school, and I just really liked being on the team and like everyone that I was running with. So That's why
Okay,
I'm
and you
excited.
said you started on cross country?
Yes,
Is that
sir,
what you
just
started with?
cross country's
which,
in the fall.
which season do you prefer, cross country, indoor or outdoor?
I prefer cross country by far. It's just I like the team a lot more, and because everyone's just so close, and I also like running a 5K on trails.
Well, I was asking the girls this, what's in your mind? Do you concentrate on people around you, or what kind of thoughts, because that's a tough 20, 22, 23 minute grind. How do you, mentally, what are you honed in on?
I just try to stay relaxed and like running for my teammates because I know they're all running really hard, and so I want to run hard. And then I'm also listening for Coach Hind. Whatever he's yelling at me in the race, I try to do.
Does his yell, you can't miss it?
No, you can never miss it, or his whistle.
Okay. Lane, how about you? What kind of thoughts do you have as you're running?
I'm just trying to stay focused and relaxed and try to focus and try to keep up with them because I'm like the third man. So.
Well, let me ask you this, in the sport of track, because I ask other athletes about this in their sport, is there a team that you enjoy competing against, or do you have some certain person that may go to another school and that you might want to make sure you do well against? Or
there's this one guy, his name is Graham Denning. He's the one who got me into it. I started sophomore year running, and so I tried to beat him. I haven't yet, but
is he on your team?
No, he goes to Mountain Brook.
Oh, okay.
Because I went to Mountain Brook in middle school, so.
Oh, okay. So that's a little bit of a rivalry there, or a reason to execute, right? Okay. How about you, Drew? When when you are out there running, y'all don't. I've seen people, and maybe the coach may say, "Snapper, you're crazy as a lunatic." Do you ever have a chance when you run with headsets in?
Sometimes not races. I don't listen to music when I race, but recently this past week we've been it's sort of been like stay week, so we've been trying to have fun, I guess, and so we run with like a speaker and listen to music and some of our like distance runs, but not in races.
Right. Now, when you're talking about distance runs, how far are you talking about?
It really depends. Today we ran 5.
Right.
It'll be anywhere around there to like 8, 10.
Yeah, I just didn't know, and I wasn't going to ask the coach this, and I don't want to put y'all on the spot. Does that mean music is allowed or is not allowed?
I mean, it's never really said we're not allowed to use it, but we don't normally listen to music.
Oh, okay. All right, the guys, I'm going to ask y'all the same thing I did to girls. I mean, I know you're good athletes, and I know you do this year round. And you had to qualify in the classroom and you couldn't do it. So I know you're good there and you're good at your sport, but there's got to be a way that you unwind. The girls talked about theirs a little bit. I'd be curious, and we'll start with you, Will. What do you do to get away from the rigors of the textbook and the track?
Between the classroom and running and practice and all the stuff after school, it's hard to find time, but when I do, I like to just hang out with my friends and sort of relax and go around to places, or like just go to someone's house and just have fun with my boys.
Oh, okay. How about you, Lane?
Same as him. I just like to hang out with my friends and chill. Maybe like go watch a movie with them or something.
Okay. Drew?
Yeah, I'm with these guys because like most of my friends are on the cross country team, and so like we just kind of bond as a team doing other things that are fun outside of running and practice.
Okay. When I asked the girls this, but I think guys are more into this than the ladies are, and that's superstitions. I've known athletes through the years that's had some weird ones, boy. And so I know they're out there. But the one thing I'll tell, I don't care who the athlete is, what the superstition is, I tell them the truth before it's over with. And the truth is, I don't care what kind of superstition you got, it ain't going to help you one bit. What's going to help you is your ability and your athleticism, right? But in our minds are a terrible thing to waste, right? We think it will help us a little bit. So with that thought, I'm curious if one of you guys might have something like that. Drew, what about you?
This year I've been more relaxed, but like all of high school and middle school, I wore the same pair of like orange compression shorts under my racing uniform.
Really?
And I just had to wear them at every race.
Yeah.
But this year I've gone away from that.
They never called you stanky either, did they?
No, I always washed it.
You're a good boy. Okay, how about you, Lane?
I wear the same pair of socks every race. They're just like short little Swiftwick socks.
Yeah, okay. When I think about socks, I think of a sport, and you guys don't know, the coach does. And the way the socks stood out in my mind, this was a basketball player, Pistol Pete Maravich, and those floppy socks he had. Boy, I had 2 or 3 pairs of socks that I wore out, trying to wear them like him. I wouldn't wash them, I wouldn't do nothing. Didn't help my basketball much though. But okay, how about you, Will?
Well, I think since running is such like a mental sport, it can sometimes help to have those, because like when you do them mentally, you're like there, you're like, okay, I've done this, now I can run well, and I think sometimes it does help you push that. So needless to say, I have a few. About 1 hour before I race, every time for 30 seconds, I chug my water bottle, and then right before I go to the starting line, I listen to like a few songs, like specific songs I listen to every time that sort of get me hyped up for my race.
Well, you're sort of normal. Yeah, I like that. All right, guys, here we're close to the end. Almost, you're seniors, almost ready to graduate. With that thought in mind, Will, off to college, where are you going?
I have yet to decide. I don't know.
Undecided. That's a very popular university. But if you're leaning toward one, which would it might be?
I like NC State. I toured there this summer, and I like their school a lot.
And what kind of courses would you take? What do you hope to do one day?
Probably some type of engineering. I like biomedical engineering,
but
I'm not sure.
Wow. Okay. How about you, Lane?
I'm also undecided, but sort of lean towards Stanford. I toured there multiple times over the summer, and I kind of want to like go into medical school.
Oh, okay. And how about you, Drew?
I'm undecided, honestly, but if I had to choose somewhere that I'm leaning towards, it's the University of Virginia. They have a really good physical therapy program, and I liked visiting there.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you guys is I'm not sure that any of you want to be teachers or track coaches. That's not it. We're going to leave that up to the coaches. And so one day, well, guys, I know you're seniors, and I wish you all the luck in the world. 1, in the upcoming state meet, but 2, in where you end up going to college, whatever endeavor you may choose. Last question that I have, we'll start with you, Will. To this point in your young life, who's been the most inspirational person or persons?
I'd say probably I've taken inspiration from many different people, whether it be like coaches or my parents or different teachers. Just all those different influences have really helped shape me to be who I am. So I don't think I could really pinpoint it down to any one person.
Well, it sounds like you've gotten the right idea in mind. Sometimes it takes a combination of things. You're absolutely right. Lane, how about you?
Definitely my dad, because every race, every like bad race, we always like talk about like what went wrong, how can I get better, and he's always pushing me and sending me motivational videos and all that.
Yeah, and then that's the most important thing. We know no matter how much Dad's pushing us, it's for the right reason. And he just wants us better, right? Absolutely. Okay, Drew, how about you?
I'd agree with Lane. My dad's probably the most inspirational person. He just taught me to work hard, because he's always had to work hard for everything, and so.
Well, guys, being seniors, as you head off to college, I wish you all the best. But right now, the thing I wish you the best is have a good track meet. Maybe win that state championship. Coaches used to those, but they never get tired of them, no matter how many they got, okay? So good luck to you. Folks, we've had an interesting evening. Young athletes that they got their heads screwed on straight, as the old saying goes. They know what it's all about. They have goals, and they know how to get there. And coaches such as Coach Hines are the ones that help them. So we wish them all the luck in the world. We hope to see you again next week, same time, same place. So then, you know what the snapper always says, bicycle.
And this will be your premium right here.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say I combined home and auto with State Farm. Saved $760. Love this guy.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Bundle home and auto, and you could save $760.
That's 760 very good reasons to call Alan Gurdeau in Trussville today.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine, orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine with shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered at Andrews Sports Medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, postoperative decisions, preoperative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making. That gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them. We're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing and as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrews Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
Land of Frost Premium is America's best-selling 1-pound deli pouch, now available in 12 delicious flavors, including new flavors of mesquite turkey and cotto salami. High school athletes across the country ask for Land of Frost by name. These great items are available at your local grocer, including Piggly Wiggly, Food Giant, Western supermarkets, and many more. Land of Frost also makes other varieties of lunch meats, including deli shaved bistro and sub sandwich kits. Land of Frost is a proud sponsor of youth sports as well. You can catch our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can also visit us on our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Be sure to like and subscribe to our platforms. If you have an idea for a show topic or would like to be a sponsor, please email us at castvshow321@gmail.com.